Howdy, 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 this is JL for another Weekly Shonen Nonsense for October 29th, 2023. The comics to read to now! One Piece, chapter 1096. What a way to start a day. This was incredible. From just the amazing callbacks to the revelations to just the great character development of every single one of these just amazing figures for an event that we still don't know much about. Like, even this chapter being a snippet of the God Valley incident is just insanely and fascinating. The fact that, like, so many characters who we, like, have only hinted at were at this event. Hack was there. Hack being the fisherman who helped Eva escape his chains. It was Hack who joins the revolutionaries later. We have the revelation at Gloriosa of Elder Nyan fame being part of the Rocks Pirates alongside Stussy, Captain John, who is confirmed dead in this current timeline, so like it's just crazy to see them there. We see a young Roger sans mustache fighting off the Holy Knights, which is just crazy as is. But the big kicker, the overall run of this chapter stars two characters, Eva and Kuma. Well, I shouldn't be discounting Ginny here, who is the one who caused this event to happen in the first place, as the event was unknown to even Marines themselves. They didn't know what was happening. All they knew was they were having to protect the the world nobles. They didn't know that there was going to be a killing game. And, of course, no one wanted to know that the prizes were devil fruits, specifically the pawpaw fruit and the dragon fruit. And when all this came to a head, we have Ginny hacking the Denden Mushis and sending out the report to anybody. And, of course, it gets to Fullet Island, which is run by Zebek, who just immediately gets in the boat and, like, flies there. Because he's like, I need these two fruits. And, of course, hearing the same call, so does Roger, which causes the chaos, allowing the fruits to be stolen by Eva and Kuma. Of course, this also leads to an alternate timeline where Eva ate the dragon fruit, becoming the actual dragon where Kaido didn't, and that frightens me, because that would mean that we don't get Eva-chan. But regardless, Eva doesn't, and he gets stopped by Linlin, of all people, and survives. And of course, then, of all people, Kuma eats his fruit, but then meets up with Saturn. And then the memory just kind of stops there. We don't know the rest of the Rocky Port incident. We just know that Ginny, Eva, Kuma, and about 500 other survivors survived, of course, out of like the couple thousand that were there, which is sad for Kuma, but happy for everyone else, because even just one person escaping that was a victory, which is a great line by Eva. Eva then goes, I'm just going to go off and see the world, leaving Ginny to live with Kuma, thus confirming that Ginny is definitely going to be the mother of Bonnie here. Which just... And that last, 2 pages is just... Oh, God, I'm tearing up just remembering it. Just them living their lives and saying, we get to eat food, we're full, so full, being slaves and impoverished, and they cry at the very end of the chapter, but I'm like, my soul! So, yeah, this was incredible. This was just amazing. Perfect chapter. I'm really happy to start the day with One Piece. Again, I start with One Piece because One Piece is the best, and it continues to prove it to me week after week. Love this series. 2 on Ice, Chapter 6. Talk about a cool down. Alright, so really I don't have a lot to say about this chapter. It's simple, the start and the end are the actual important bits of the chapter. For the most part, it's filler of just explaining how ice skating works. What it means to, actually use your momentum on the ice, what it is to be able to hone your skills in order to go farther with a single push of your ice skates against the ground. Of course, it's all right. There's not a whole lot to this. There's definitely a Kisar and Hayu trying to like meld each other. At the very end, we see Hayu like trying to compare himself to her and is like demanding her to join the competition in order for him to better measure up his skills to hers in the actual tournament, which really just leads to more headaches for Natsubi. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. It's just training, like explaining what he's going to be doing for the next month or so. Don't really see too much for this. Again, it's good. Its art is phenomenal for what it perceives, but it's still too wordy. It sort of feels like someone who's really into building houses and is building a house and saying, "Hey," the entire time, like, "This is how I'm building this house," and it that kind of leads just the house being built, and then the person going, "Aren't you glad I built this house?" Yeah, but I mean, that's not really what I came here for. So, alright. Kagurabachi, Chapter 7. How much do you like setting up pins? So, this is another, slow down chapter for this. It seems like we're getting in this, action, slow down action pace of the story so far. But this time we're actually getting more setup for the next major arc for the story, where, of course, we get introduced to Azami, who, works for the government, of all things in this universe. Apparently his organization is trying to stop anything that destroys the nation, and what can destroy the nation are the 6, or really now 7, swords that ended the war. This then leads to the revelation that one of the swords, Shinichi, is being sold at a black auction, or black market option. A black option. I don't like how I said black. Anyway, the point being is that clearly this organization that had Cloud Gouger also got another one of the swords and is planning to sell it. This Sojo character seems to be a big problem, and of course we also see a shot of a few other people who could also be equally issue making. And Azami's like, "Yeah, I should probably take your sword, Chihiro, but, I'll just let you handle this as best you can." And the chapter ends with basically him walking on, going, you gotta prepare for this. So, pretty good. I think we're going to be having Char around for a while. He's like, "I could pick you up, but it would be a waste of time," says Azami. And Char is like, "Cool," and just like say, "I'm so hyped to still be here," and flaps her arms around like a child. This definitely has a hint of that kind of like Spy X Family feel, where we have like the stoic father figure and then this energetic child hanging around. I'm looking forward to where this goes. A little weirded out by a few things, of course. I mean, like, we're getting another slowdown chapter after like this build up of trying to keep Char safe, and now we're like gonna basically be having to keep her alive. Not really sure where this is going. I mean, yeah, the auction is going to be the big event, but how are they going to present it? How are they going to show off the other swords? Because we really haven't seen many other magical swords yet. We just know his. So, again, could go anywhere, really. Mama Yu Yu, Chapter 8. How much do you like idols? So, color cover this chapter, which is good, meaning the second volume is going to be getting something. Starting with this, at least. And it's a continuation of the last fight with Ascaba versus Corleo. But, of course, Corleo really can't do much right now, considering his current lack of ability. So, in steps in Minerva, a demon lord idol, which is apparently a thing, who has a really cool power, is that she basically can cause distractions with these little tiny stars. So, while, Ascaba is throwing out his giant, black tendrils, Minerva's like just distracting his blows away while she comes in and, drop kicks him. Very fun power, and which leads to the big action ramping up as what Corleo is actually doing is going and grabbing Alicia and then using her to finish off Ascaba. And of course, the fight continues on. Muscabo is about to do something when this guy in a hat comes in and says, I'm not going to have this fight go on any further. And we kind of end the chapter with him going, nope, you can't have my blood, because apparently he's the big schemer. We're going to get more of an explanation next chapter, but it feels like we've gotten a interesting, like, handle of characters here. Right? Like, we have two heroes of, opposite gender, and then two demon lords of opposite gender, and we might be seeing them, like, coming together to deal with the bigger problem of these evil monsters off to kill heroes and destroy the sanctity of this particular peaceful universe. Again, there's something interesting about what's going on, but we're not quite there yet. Again, good to see it's getting that color cover. Means, again, the second volume's going to be packed with stuff, hopefully. This is a good sign. Paneling is still great, by the way. This fight scene was incredible, and it's all because of these unique panel layouts and shapes and the really creative way he's using the sound effects. So, again, overall good. Icehead Gill, Chapter 18. We are just running to that finale, aren't we? So, we start this chapter with a bit of a flashback showing, like, Gil getting saved by Dreki by some unknown, hideous Vega monster. And lo and behold, that shows up later. But we get a father-son moment, as we have now father v. son. The father kills some people while, Gil is trying to save them. Gil then shows that he's, eating these water apples that give him more water for the sake of making his axe stronger and more solid, because, his axe had broke a few chapters ago. And we then have, the explanation of what the next step up is in the spin. So we get 4 spins is orca hunting, and versus Dreki, or the Lich King's 5 spin whale hunting. So whales are something we hunt with an axe. But either way, this leaves Ver from last chapter completely out of it, losing a leg and being dropped onto a tree, with the revelation that it was actually Var who was trying to kill Gil in that memory back in the day. Of course, even hearing this, Gil's like, yeah, whatever, I'm still gonna kill you, and Dreki's, lich body's like, fine, tosses him aside, and then we just jump to when he meets Ond. Apparently killing Ond's little lackey, who was like, saying everything's going so great, and kills him off pretty quickly there, leading to the end of the chapter. This feels like it's ending soon, as I kind of stated at the beginning. This feels like we're running through a lot of plot beats fairly quickly. No way we're going to be like explaining too much about this. I mean, literally, we are introduced to Var 3 chapters ago. Like, oh, he's the part of the Ratatasker group. And here he is, he's, doing so well, and now he's been hurt, but it's shown he's actually trying to kill young Gil. Oh no! This is like a character arc in three chapters is really fast. And of course, we're now getting on to beating Dreki, who is pretty much the final boss. We were like, having these 4, brothers of under the Lich King, the 4 siblings of the Lich King. And we've fought one, and then we are just jumping straight to the final one. Yeah, he overpowers Gil, but, so what? Are we gonna see Gil overpower him using his ice head form? It's very, fast paced. So I don't know. This is a series about Vikings, but not really. It's more about the Viking aesthetic, and I feel like that sort of undermines it, because, there's Vinland Saga out there. I've read Vinland Saga, I still read it, and it is incredible, because it is capital V Vikings. It is about Viking history, culture, how they moved, how they worked, how they lived. This feels like it's Viking mythology with just the smallest hint of reverence for it. Look, it looks really cool, but it really isn't the actual culture. I mean, for the love of God, they have horned helmets, which is not a thing for Vikings specifically. So, again, It's all right, but I'm pretty certain we're about to end. Martial Master Asumi, Chapter 19. Big old fight scene. So, this chapter we have Taiga versus Nito, and Nito starts out the fight pretty much on the back foot because apparently he doesn't know what wall fighting is or wall wrestling, and he is on the ropes and being completely undermined by Taiga, who is just just devastating the poor boy because of course, Taiga has been living in this MMA life for a year, as opposed to Nito, who's just joined in the last, several weeks. So we're getting a, pretty solid beat down at the beginning of the fight, so that the turnaround feels a lot more intense. Because as soon as like everybody's like going, yeah, maybe Nito should lose, maybe he should feel the loss of a this kind of thing early on, because he's trying to be professional, and a professional loss is a lot more destructive to a record than a loss when you're an amateur. But then Nito pulls out the punch out of nowhere. Like his grandpa's like, oh, he seems to be doing all right. Punch, which then leads to Taiga reflexively doing a headbutt, causing a foul and getting the fight extended. And the end of the chapter kind of implies that maybe that headbutt might have done things, because Nito then gets back into the fight, saying bye to Grandpa and Dad. Mind you, Dad has been dead for several years. This is going to be an interesting little fight after in the next chapter. I'm hoping this survives a little longer. I think Asumi is pretty good. Like this series is a phenomenal take on the MMA style of fighting and showmanship, as well as just generally being a actually battle manga that is about fighting in a actual martial arts tournament, as opposed to being tangentially related like Dragon Ball or Fist of the North Star. So it's not quite Baki or Hagure Idol, but it's something. Nue's Exorcist, Chapter 24. You gotta sell him. Sell him like he's a rare find. So, yeah, this entire chapter is about how Nue is selling Gakuro to the other captains to make him the captain of the 6th district, i.e. hers. And for the most part, not a lot of things happen. It's mostly just a back and forth of like, make him captain. No. Make him captain. No. Really? No. Here's this thing. Okay, cool. All right, now he's captain. And for the most part, that's pretty much it. There was the reveal of Nue's true name. Like a cat, Nue has 3 names: her regular name, her fancy name, and the name she doesn't tell anybody. Which, in this case, she told them as a part of a weird pact thing involving if a Hyo's true name, you have power over them. Very, very old, very mythical kind of power set there, really. Much like, how Iris knows Adam Ra's true name, thus has power over him in Egyptian mythology. So, it's alright. We get Gakuro going, yep, I'm going to be captain. And they're like, we're going to work you like hell. We're going to kill a thought. And he's like, yep, no, I'll totally do it. So, it's alright. Again, the art's nice. The shot of the true Nue is terrifying. It also proves that Nue isn't the, monkey-faced lion, Nue that is more moderately consistent, like shows up in Neo and so on, and more of the traditional giant bird Nue. So, good stuff there. Not really sure where the series is going to go, because we're getting this, idea like there's these evil, 6 demon lords and 5 evil demon lords, and we're going to be fighting them. But we have one who's really nice and likes the main character, and clearly is going to be the big bad at the end of the series. If this all goes well, or be the final girl in his harem. Pretty sure it's going to be the latter. My Girlfriend Gives Me Goosebumps Extra Edition. Now, this little extra chapter isn't really much to talk about. It's mostly just like a little joke about the band. Like, here's a couple of members who aren't here for various reasons. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they start playing, and they do apparently well. I just want to like dedicate a little bit of this, because I didn't really get to talk about it much last week, but the existential horror of what this series is doing currently with its main character, because this boy needs to go to a hospital. He is clearly not well if he's like losing big chunks of his memory like this. Like, quite literally, a year of time is just gone in a blink. He won't remember any of it. He won't be able to regurgitate any of it. He can't hold on to anything. And this part of him that's a nice person kind of is holding him back from understanding what his actual wants are. Clearly, that fall when he was a child did traumatic things to him that a doctor really should have known about, and he probably should be, taking something in order to help at least save something from him, from his time. But clearly, this is not going to be a very pretty ending, because I feel like it may be running towards a finale, much like other series. It seems to be a manga plus thing too. Like, a lot of series do well at first, continue on until the 20s, and then fall off fairly soon after that. Especially considering it's gone bi-weekly, meaning it's not like hitting out hits every week like other series, and it's having to like pull back with these extra chapters every so often, which are okay, but not really anything to write home about, much as I've been pointing out here. So I'm a little scared for where this is going, like what a time skip's really going to do, and especially like, will there be a bigger time skip when he's older, and maybe like when he's like more of an adult, which might lead to a revelation about his girlfriend. We're not sure. Could go anywhere, but I feel like it might be headed toward the end. Kill Blue, chapter 27. Yeah, build that muscle. Alright, so next color cover this week, as well as we actually kind of have a weird chapter, as we kind of, had that entire thing with Pacifier going to be being a stalker, and we do get like a couple pages dedicated to that, but that is not what this chapter is about whatsoever. That is completely pushed off to the side to focus on this nice little girl named May, who is sick of people acting like she is just a cute little woodland creature. Because she's not a woodland creature. She's just short, and she's older than Ogami, and bakes cookies, and is really cute and small, and is probably going to be voiced by Pikachu in the anime. But goddammit, she wants to be treated like an equal. She decides she needs to get jacked, and goes to Ogami because Ogami knows Tenma, and Tenma is jacked, so clearly Ogami is her path in. But of course it's Tenma, and Tenma is a jerk, so he scares her away. So Ogami's like, all right, we need to go take you to the bar and to Mama, Ogami's trans woman friend. And of course, this leads to Mama explaining to May that really people aren't, treating her unequally. They're not feeling superior to her. They're more feeling jealous of her. Like, she is small, delicate, and good-natured versus, Mama, who's, always been violent and, bulky, much to her own detriment. And then, of course, Mama then beats up a drunken bar customer and scares May off. Of course, May takes the lesson in, like, you really shouldn't worry too much about these kind of things, and decides to move on. But still get yoked. Get those gains, girl, yeah! Get the melon dealt, hell yeah! So, fun chapter. Very one and done. Not there may be continuity later on that is informs, but otherwise it's all right. Cypher Academy, chapter 46. How can I get people to pay me to just make fart noises for about a minute and a half for this explanation? Yeah, so Cypher Academy, Anonymous shows up. Of course, Anonymous shows up. She's clearly going to join it, even if she was saying, "Oh, I'm not going to join in. I'm not going to take your glasses weapon." Hacks in, jumps down like 100 floors, and goes, "I'm getting farther." Clearly she gets into trouble, and of course, to her rescue is annoying Goggles chick, And Goggles chick just basically stops the AI and says, "Oh, I vouch for her." And the AI is like, "Yeah, cool. She's still a hacker, so I'm going to test her. And here's this test." And they pass in like minutes, like just barely a page. And then of course they go on downstairs together as the big team of Glasses Girl and Anonymous, or Goggles Girl and Anonymous, forming the Hope and Fortress. And my God, I'm bored. This is, oh man, it's just so fucking rote and terrible. Like literally, we have like this weird motivation that Goggles Girls get because she like gets told by Kogoe about something with her like dead brother and his bones and burial ground or whatever. And we get told, you don't have to give me this motivation, just tell me what you want to do. And she goes and does it, and all she really does is just kind of go into a room and say, "Hey, stop it." And she's like, "Okay, fine." And they stop it. And then they walk downstairs together and pose like as if they're freaking models. I'm like, can't you just walk down the stairs and not be an idiot? Next chapter is going to be involving Mahjong. Great. A full chapter of just really dumb Mahjong shit. Oh god. I am regretting every single thing in my life. The Ichinose Family's Deadly Sins, Chapter 47. Just when you think the roller coaster is about to end, another loop-de-loop. Oh boy, this series just keeps going. Yeah, this entire chapter is about like how the series is about to end. Like the dream is over, everyone's woken up, everyone's going back to their lives. Soda finally gets closure. Mom and Dad finally apologize to him and try to make amends. He says he's going to leave, so Tsubasa gets everybody onto the car again and goes and takes the vacation they were trying to do it so long ago. And Soda sort of laments and like, "Oh, whatever, I'll drive you. It's fine. I'm still kind of angry about the whole traumatic past." But they all seem to be getting together and being happy. And then a monkey gets in the way of their car. It goes off the rails. Everything goes dark, and oh no, he wakes up coming back from a coma again. Like this. Oh boy, I am hearing some rumors in the chat on Viz, and they're saying, "Oh, next week's gonna be the end of the series," and I'm like, I will believe it when I see it, because my God, does this series love a twist. And just never untwisting this. It's so incredible. I mean, because clearly it's not over yet. The entire chapter, they keep saying everyone's awake. Grandpa is clearly still out. Like, he is still asleep. And this was all his doing. He's the one who kind of invented the dream for one reason or another. Probably because of his Alzheimer's and trying to avoid it. He's trying to cure Alzheimer's through the dream. And dragging his family into it. So this is clearly about that, and we're going to probably see the next chapter, probably the final chapter, finally dealing with Grandpa and his means and method, as well as his wants and desires, which feels kind of weird to have that just take an entire chapter as opposed to another couple. So again, I will see it when I will believe it when I see it. But otherwise, this has been a great story. I don't mind this ending anytime soon. Again, it's only a year publication, which in retrospect to Shonen Jump isn't a short time, but it's not very long either. We have other series in the hundreds here, and this is barely eking out a year of survival. But that being said, I do not have any ill will for the series. I am here for this. I love Ichinose Family's Deadly Sins. It's been a fun ride, but at the same time, this roller coaster, while enjoyable, has been headache-inducing. I'd like to go home and rest. Please, let me get off the ride and maybe go home and sleep, please. Akane Banashi, Chapter 84. Sell them tickets, son. Sell them. So this chapter, we've have the gauntlet thrown by Chocho last chapter to get his training. Kane and Karashi have to sell out Asa's school debut, his big Futsatsume debut. And of course, they then have to build up more and more clout, so they do a smaller event where Asa, hands out his stuff to his friends, and they try to sell the event as well, which then leads to the actual, startup event here, only getting about 4 people. This kind of leads to the glass half empty, glass half full mentality of Karashi versus Akane. Akane is seeing 4 people and going, "Oh wow, that's 4 voices who can go out and sell this act to their friends to bring more people in," versus Karashi, who's like, "Wow, we're barely making ends meet. We're gonna have to pay more for the venue because the tickets are only 1,000 yen, so it's not enough to actually cover the rental fee." So it's definitely a good dynamic for our 2 main characters here. And then the series kind of shifts gears entirely and talks about Taizen, who we finally get a face reveal for, showing how he can sell an entire room of people for his sort of more dominating performance. He's still a good guy, just he's a permanent sourpuss. And of course, Chocho ends the chapter with going and talking to Taizen. Overall, yet another one of these build-up chapters, but especially with the main character of Akane really not being much of a character this arc so far. She just kind of seems to be hanging on there for a reason, but not necessarily pushing her reason on top of everybody else's. She's definitely there to support Asa as best as she can, even though really that's not helping her overall goal very quickly. But again, this just also shows that Akane is one of the best female characters Shonen Jump has ever produced. I will fight you on this. So it's just phenomenal to read, follow, and pay attention to with how it's developing. So yeah, no, good. Just good old entertainment media. Blue Box, chapter 123. Well, this was an alright chapter. It's about the battle between Haruta, Yusa's brother, and Taiki in their little badminton match. Well, actually, it's more about, Haruta's backstory and his crippling inferiority complex. Yeah, it turns out he went and visited his older brother's school back in middle school, and they, had some practice matches, which he lost against Hyodo. And it's revealed that, while Haruto was pretty good, he wasn't his brother. And it kind of paints the picture of what Haruto's actual problem is. He doesn't like how there's people who are better than him, mostly because, they were, there earlier than he was. And that he wishes there wasn't a difference in grade. And at the very end, of course, Taiki wins because he's Taiki. Of course he's going to win this fight. Haruto then actually mimics Yusa from way back when and says he's not satisfied. He wants another go at Taiki. And Taiki, of course, goes, "Yeah, no, I wish there wasn't a difference in grades." And this resonates with Haruto. Man, I get that. And goes off and decides he's going to keep practicing and getting better in order to one day beat Taiki himself. Sort of Taiki inspiring a young person to be his rival like Haru did for him way back when. But in reality, Taiki's actual reason why he wishes there wasn't a difference in grade is because of Chinatsu. We see at the very end of the chapter him looking at her and blushing slightly. It's cute. It's very battle manga chapter for this series, which is it's owed one at least once. Being in Shonen Jump, so good overall. Now we just need Chinatsu's basketball battle chapter. I need her to beat LeBron legitimately here. Come on. Witch Watch, chapter 131. And with this, the disaster has finally happened. Nico has reverted to a child after saving Morihito, and the battle is over. Shikimi, the villain of the arc, decides, I really can't get what I want out of Nico right now, and leaves. His subordinates, being deterred, decided they were going to go off their separate ways as well, not really wanting to involve themselves with this kind of nonsense any further. Specifically, Rand, of course, now being mortal, decides to go off on an own journey to eat as much ramen as possible, because now, being mortal, he no longer has the excuse of his immortality to put off things that he wants to do. He can get to live his life as he was always wanting to. And our boys now have a bigger problem to deal with. Nico herself. She has reverted to the age of 5. Losing years of knowing anything about Morihito, she has reverted to a child and is now being raised by all 4 of her former guardians, now her essentially older brother or parents. Now, of course, this leads to the question, how are we going to get her back? Turns out the butterflies are actually representations of time, and them scattering like this was the cost of the spell. The thing is, she can recollect all of that as a butterfly flies into her and shows her aging up slightly, getting her teeth that fell out back. This is going to lead to the next big arc of the collecting of the butterflies and the major dynamic shift, because this is unprecedented. I've never really seen a series do something like this before. It taking a character, not killing them necessarily, but dramatically changing them to the point where they are not the same characters we've known for this long stretch of time. It's been 3 years. We've known Nico as being the energetic, peppy little girl who makes spells but kind of fumbles the ball, but really is good natured as a cute bundle of love and joy, and clearly has a crush on Morihito, and the will they won't they mentality is gone now, and left behind as a baby who must be protected and cared for. So it's quite a change. I'm really impressed with this ending, and I really don't know where this goes from here outside of the obvious. There's going to be gags. We're going to be getting some gags soon, and I am very much looking forward to some jokes, because this is part 18 of this disaster arc. That is 4 months of just back-to-back battling in a goofball series. So while I love the action, love this arc to no end, I'm just wanting to get some levity. I just want some good old-fashioned weird comedy. Maybe get another chapter of Euron Mirage, or maybe getting back to the Legos. I don't know. I'm just here for this series. I appreciate the change and what this means. Sakamoto Days, chapter 141. Fuck yeah, museums. So we begin the arc here as everyone's gathering at the exhibit. We have, of course, Osaragi and the Order hanging around, acting as protection, gearing up for the director's appearance apparently today, on the first day. Meanwhile, we have Sakamoto and crew meeting up with their 4th member, Kaji. You remember Kaji from the entrance exam arc for the JCC, who's sort of bitter because he didn't get to go to the academy because certain people attacked and shut down the school for a while. It's a wonder why he's working for us. Anyway, they infiltrate and all go their separate ways to go look for the bomb. Kaji being very good because he can basically hear a pin drop and know exactly where it's fallen. This leads him to, of all people, Mafuyu, who he recognizes, goes up, starts to chat up, then remembers something very specific. Mafuyu was kidnapped by Slur, and then gets his throat chopped for his insolence, leading to the idea that Mafuyu is actually working for Slur, and probably setting up the bomb. Things are getting heated. The arc is beginning. We're getting a lot of setup as well. Like many of the chapters this week, this is mostly just setting up pins for the next bit, because clearly we have all the characters in place, as well as we had this mysterious call from Wu-Tang of all people. Yeah, remember Wu-Tang? Wu-Tang is a really important character from the very beginning of the series, and he has some information about Slur's double identity. So we'll figure that out more. these are some strange times. We have former allies turned into enemies. We have allies who are themselves enemies as well, given the certain circumstances. These are some turbulent times, these Sakamoto days. Undead Unluck, Chapter 181. So what if he's a clone? He's still Andy, goddammit. And, of course, he proves how Andy he is by taking on Sick and dealing with him in that minute pretty goddamn fluidly. A lot of body fluids, that is. Yeah, so Andy basically just doesn't really go after Sick and to kill him. He simply decides, I need to make sure Sick is dealt with as best as possible, and uses all of the other crewmates pretty effectively, as if knowing he knew everything already. Probably already has remembered at this point, but either way, Andy buries Sick and with a really cool blood Kikoho, long enough so that he can get some unluck from Fuko and a swift kick from Rip and Latla to deal with the meteorite before he disappears into nothingness. The battle seems to be won. Everyone's kind of gathering up and getting prepared. Meanwhile, Fuko goes after Sick, who has been teleported, leaving a hole in his wake, leading to the actual flip side of the world, where the 10 Master Rules reside, coming up out of there to go and destroy the rest of the Earth. So we're going to have Fuko meeting the big bads of the arc. Possibly getting close at the end game, but I think we're still far away from that for the moment. This is phenomenal. I really do love Undead Unluck, and while it's not really Andy, it's still good to see Andy's style of fighting come back. Just the ridiculous, blood-soaked nature of it, like as disturbing as it is, just have him rip his own arms off just to blow more blood down to keep Sick from moving is so cool. And that final Sick, wicked Sick, as he hits the meteorite is just beautiful. And of course, Fuko, being the main character that she is, diving in to meet the Master Rules is also really intense. So that's going to tell us a lot what's going to happen next chapter, especially considering, it's not just me. A lot of people are pointing out number 1 there looks a lot like Andy. So we might be seeing death being the number 1 Master Rule, which makes sense. Death is sort of a big rule, You want to have people, fight in a war, you gotta have them knowing that they're going to die. So, fairly intuitive. Either way, I am upset that I can't watch the anime due to circumstances, because, my god, I would love to see this animated, and I'm really, really loving this. My Hero Academia, Chapter 405. Now, this week started with Peak, with One Piece. This week then ends with Peak, with My Hero Academia. This was one of the best chapters Horikoshi has written, and this year has just been Horikoshi, at a 12 out of 10 here. I mean, of course, we have All Might hallucinating Night Eye, telling him that, yeah, you were supposed to die today, but fate twisted and you kept your promise. And my heart just exploded. I am still drying my eyes from that moment. And of course, it just leads to then Bakugo showing how he came back and saved All Might. Edgeshot did patch him up, but that wasn't the thing that, brought him back. No. That was that little spark he left behind, one little bead of sweat that, when it exploded, jump-started his heart and brought him back from the brink. And this just, of course, brings All Might to literally pass on the gauntlet to Bakugo to, defeat All for One himself. Even giving Bakugo his full due, calling him Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite, and then revealing Bakugo's own smile. And of course, All for One's confused and angry because all of his plans have just been completely ruined. Everything's going up in smoke. Everything that could go wrong has. And just as he's believing that, Bakugo comes in out of fucking nowhere, screaming, "I am the final boss," before shoving All for One down into a hole where he belongs. It's wonderful. Holy shit, the art's insane. The callbacks are amazing. Just how incredible this arc has been so far, with how many people have survived, lived, died, fought, and made like just incredible leaps and bounds. I mean, hell, this chapter even has a reference to movie 2. Movie 2 is canon because of this chapter. That's just insane to me. Again, this is peak. This is truly good writing, good art, good manga. Horikoshi, you are the man for pulling this off. And that's going to do it for this week. What an amazing week it was. Some amazing highs, some okay lows. So overall, perfect. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the series ending next week, or possibly, concluding. Hoping one ends, but it won't. It just won't. But of course, still looking forward to seeing where everything else goes from these amazing comics. So, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. You know what? It's a day away, but, doesn't really feel too spooky out. Bye!